Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's program. This is our little corner of the internet where we talk about fountain pens, inks, journals, and journaling, anything and everything that's going to help you to stay inspired. And all are welcome here. I want to make that a very big point. You're very welcome here. Love to have you along. If you've been watching the live show and some of the videos I put up, love to have you subscribe. And also, membership is available. Thank you to all the wonderful members, many of whom I see in the comments. Lovely to see you all. So I'm not going to rattle on for too long because I know you guys are really excited. I'm really excited. It's always fantastic when we can welcome a guest. And I'm sure you know tonight's guest well. I'm sure you've seen her on YouTube, on Instagram, her charming videos on fountain pens and inks. She probably knows more about inks than Kat Von D. She probably has more shades of ink than the Sunday New York Times. She is one of the loveliest people in the fountain pen community. And I'm very happy to have her with me tonight. So, with any luck,
Hi.
welcome.
All right, here we are.
Saenz with perfect lighting, perfect audio, everything you were worried about. And there you are in glorious
Great. All right.
And your sound level's perfect. Well done.
Okay, good. I had no idea. I just, I have the things, but I didn't need it, I guess.
Sure. No, it's good. Well, I decided not to use mine. I learned halfway through the interview with Brendan that I didn't really need it. So I took it off and there was no screeching that I was worried about. So that worked out nicely. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to be here.
Very good. I'm very excited to have you. I think we'll have a really nice chat. If it's okay with you, I'd like to make it as interactive as possible. While we chat, I get a nice scroll of comments. So I'm going to keep one eye down there. And
absolutely.
If people have questions, I encourage you guys, please, hit us with questions. If I don't see it in the feed, please repeat yourself and don't feel like I'm ignoring you. It's just that I'm giving most of my attention to Chris Saenz. So it's really like fun for me to meet another YouTuber that's in this sphere. It was kind of my dream to have a YouTuber friend,
All right.
Because we share a lot of the same experiences, I imagine, right?
Oh yeah, I bet we do.
Sure. How do you find the experience of YouTube generally? Like for you, what's the creative process like? If you have an idea for a video, are you sitting on the couch and it comes to you and then you decide to then record something? Like, can you walk me through how that works for you? I'd be really curious.
Well, sure. I have a few things that I'm going to do every month, no matter what. I do my Chris's inked pens.
Sure.
And because I learned that I love to share that. I love to share what I'm using for inks and pens. And then I do a progress report about halfway through the month. So that's a given because I enjoy it so much. Mm-hmm. But everything else is pretty much spur of the moment. And there's a very short time between the idea popping into my head and the video usually. So I just like doing it that way.
Keeps it fresh.
This year, though, I have a little more structure.
Sure. So that way it's a little fresher because you bring it right into fruition right away. Like, like I watched your video yesterday and it's kind of funny because you gave a really interesting library tour and or shelf tour. Or, you didn't really call it your library. I would have called it your library. But, because I'm making books too. But it was, I think you were watching Wasky Squirrel and then he did it. And then you got inspired. And it's really funny because I have a library tour video in my queue that's coming out, I think, in 3 weeks. So it's really cool. It's like this serendipity. There's going to be the three of us.
Yeah, that's
Which,
my third one. And the last time I did it, it was 2019 before the pandemic. So there were a lot more books this time.
oh yeah,
It was funny.
I noticed some books that we share. I
Really?
noticed, yes. Gosh, I might actually forget specifically, but the one that leaps out is we have the exact same edition of Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which I
Yeah.
really like because it's hardcover and smallish. So it's
Yeah.
portable but kind of tough, which I have had that in my office. I've had it in my bag. It's really traveled with me. It's one of my favorite books because it's so full of humanity.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I followed along with SBRE Brown, Stephen Brown,
Okay.
and he did a whole series on it. And
Uh,
I wanted the book so I could follow. And I really think
that's
he made it more accessible to me. So,
wow. So he does more than just review pens. I didn't realize because I don't watch him. I know that's a
yeah.
sacrilege in fountain pen circles, but I only thought he reviewed pens, and even though I do pen reviews, I don't often watch pen reviews, which is ironic, I suppose. Or
It's hard because we know we might be influenced and we don't want to pick up on someone else's either really happy or sad experience with a pen. So I understand that. But yeah, I've watched him since before I had my YouTube channel.
oh yes, yes.
He's wonderful.
Yeah, I think I was very sensitive to that early in my process. I've been on YouTube now for about a year and a half, but I think for my first half year, I was really muddling my way through, like a little more sporadic in my posting, and I don't think my production values were really up to speed yet.
Well,
But
it sure is now.
well, I appreciate that. I do. I mean, it's. I think I learned how to do things by doing everything wrong. you know, like because I do a lot of editing. Like one of the things I really like about your approach, and it's similar to like Adventure Denali's approach, where you're using maybe one or two camera views, and I think that makes your experience a little bit more intimate, almost with the viewer, as if they're there having a cup of tea with you and chatting,
Yeah.
and you have such an easy person personality on. I want to say personality. I would say more like the way you are on screen is so natural. Like you're very much yourself. Like I see
Well,
myself, I
thank
feel
you.
like I'm awkward. You know what I mean? Like, and I watch you, and I just feel like, oh, she's so nice. Like she's so inviting.
Well, I'd like people to come to my house and play with pens with me, so it's the closest I can get.
Exactly, and that's what it feels like. I mean, it really does. So I feel like we each get to visit with you for a time, and I think that's kind of a really nice appeal. And I think the gaze of the camera being a little bit more steady continues that spell, And
Huh.
I rarely use that myself, but I think you're very good at that.
Well, thank you. I, you know, I just got an upgraded camera. Before that, I really, whatever I did was because I didn't have much choice.
Oh,
I
sure.
couldn't even, I had to, I didn't have enough file space to like shoot some segments and then edit. And I don't have the computer software or anything. But this new camera is giving me some more options, more than I even have learned yet. So
Oh,
I'm
okay, great.
really glad.
Well, and it's nice. I think if you have more tools, and for me, I had a certain vision often, and sometimes when I go into things, I'm almost making a film. And I'll give the example. I don't know if you saw, but I reviewed the Churchill
Yes,
honeycomb lever fill pen the first time when they sent it, and I made like a mini documentary, and that's what I had
that
in
was
my head.
awesome.
Oh,
That
thanks.
was awesome. I went and looked up movies and everything after that. Yeah,
Oh
it was
wow, thanks so
awesome.
much. I really appreciate that. But like, I had this vision, I had no idea how to pull it off. Like no idea. And I reached out to some other bigger YouTubers that had done similar stuff in different spaces, and none of them would tell me anything. Like they read my messages. I could see that the message said read, and they just didn't respond, which
Oh,
but I muddled my way through and I made that. And I was really proud of it. Um,
huh.
But I'm doing unlimited technology too. I film everything on this. My
Oh, wow.
my daddy. You can tell a dad's phone,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So
That's cool.
yeah, but I
Well, I
got
do everything, including this on my phone.
well,
So,
if it works, right?
yeah. Yeah. I'm grateful for it. Believe me.
Oh yeah, well, me too. I mean, I think the phone is what makes it possible because it's always with you, and it's portable, and it does multiple things.
Yeah.
Amy Alphabet saying this is a dream for all of us. Pen dates for friends. That's a good point. I want to make sure I include some people's comments. Um,
Oh, yeah. That's
so
fun.
yeah, I mean, shooting on the phone and the technology and the limitations and bending them, I think it's a big part of like YouTube and sound. I think sound's really important.
Yes. When I did the library tour, I used these,
Yes, they
and
sound great.
they were great. I was happy to have them. So I had no idea. So I guess with flat lays, I could use these, and it would really be a nice improvement for the folks listening. A lot of times they tell me they listen and wash dishes and do things. So that would be
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's the same with this show on the replay. I think a lot of people do chores and they listen to it almost like a podcast.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder if I should have more structure, because a lot of times it's just very much a loose format, but I think that's good too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Amy D saying, Chris, you're doing great with the tech. I know you were worried. So you get
Thank
a lot of
you.
good support out there, which is
I've been
very
very
good.
nervous, but but
Yeah.
not now. I mean, as long as they can, it's like, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You sound great. And then, of course, you're on YouTube. Your YouTube name is Chris Saenz,
Right.
which is just
That's my name.
well, I just want to say because I don't know how to put it up. Like I wish I could put it up on the screen, because there are ways
Oh.
of doing graphics, but I'm not there yet with the live show. But I will get there one day. But I want to say it for those that are watching, because I think one of the great benefits of this is that if there is anybody who watches my show that somehow doesn't know who you are, they can find you so easily. So I just wanted to make sure that
Oh, yeah.
we mentioned that. So very cool. So what were you writing with today?
Oh, let me show you. It's my new pen,
Oh,
my very, very happy new pen, my Benu. I have it in my little
ooh, oh, very nice.
rickshaw, a cat sleeve. Let's see,
Oh,
did I hold it up right?
oh, gorgeous.
And it is the Benu Talisman Mandrake.
Oh,
And I don't know, is it shining the way
oh
it
yeah.
should? Yeah, it's
It's
real
shining
shiny.
like a constellation in in a pen. It's gorgeous.
I
You
I
light
love it.
it perfectly.
And it's so textured that when I'm thinking about what to write, I can kind of, it's very, very, what do you call it? Tactile. So I
Oh,
just
very
love
nice.
this pen. I
And
had it on my list for a long, long time. And I'm real grateful that so many of the pens are limited edition. And that always makes me sad because when you're on a budget, you got to save up for it. You can't just. So
no, that's a
I'm really happy
good
with
point.
this pen.
So let me guess, is the nib abroad?
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Okay. And what ink do you have in there today?
I have Roaring Klinger Solferino.
Very.
It really picks up pretty well on, oh
Oh,
my goodness.
beautifully complimentary.
Yeah, I
Well,
think so.
well
It's
done.
a magenta. It's very, very nice and it shades beautifully. So I just love it.
Oh, very nice. Well, I should mention I was writing with my Churchill today. I brought it to the office, and I've been writing with it for a couple days. I actually wrote your letter. Yes,
Oh, cool.
yes. In part with this pen. I used this. I used my Twsbi Eco with a 1.1, and I used my Waterman 5, which is kind of
Oh,
my favorite pen at the moment. You know how you sort of it's almost.
yeah.
Do you remember? Did you ever have MySpace?
Long time ago, back when my son was in high school. Yep.
You remember how you had your top five? And sometimes people could tell you had a problem with them because you took them out of your top five.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. It's been a while. Yeah.
right. Well, that's the same thing with pens. Sometimes you're sort of like rotating through your top five, and the Waterman five for
Yeah.
me right now is very much entrenched. But
That's funny.
but I did something really cheeky. I don't know if I should spoil it because the letter's on its way, but maybe the audience might appreciate it. But you're so you're so great with inks, and you're so knowledgeable with inks. I thought what happened with me was I was using this pen at work and it ran out of ink. So I cleaned it as best I could at the office, and I have water and blue at the office. So I wrote the letter to you once I got home, and it was in a mix of Waterman blue and a little bit of sepia by
Oh,
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of one of those like happy accidents. So that should be fun.
yeah, it
Yeah.
will be.
I
That's great.
I think the most embarrassing thing I've done recently too was I've been using this Clairefontaine paper, and it's really nice for letters. It's got a nice finish, and it just brings out character of ink. But the first page has lines, and you're not supposed to use
Right.
it. You're supposed to tear it off and put it underneath. But I just saw lines, and I was like, "Wow, excellent lines!" And I was like, "Yeah, I wasn't supposed to do that." So
That's funny.
yeah,
I get a little Dollar Tree pad because I lose my lined page all the time. I just lose it.
yeah,
And
yes.
one day I'll be organizing, I'll find 10 of them, but I use that Dollar Tree pad because it's like I'm not going to be able to find it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you almost like. I'm wondering if I should just keep some kind of template to just print out with a really deep line on it, so that I can replace it.
I thought about that, but I haven't done it.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. So it's good stuff to play with inks. I think it's funny.
Oh
I'm looking
yeah.
at the comments. How many people are saying stuff like "it's two worlds coming together," and I
Yay.
that is super fun when you watch people and you get to see their chemistry together. Is really fun. I think you know.
Well, I just know I'm very grateful that Jason mentioned your channel because I don't know when I would have visited otherwise, but I thought if he likes you, then I'll like you. I knew it.
That's
So,
that's very kind.
yeah.
He's a lovely guy too. I've been chasing him, trying to get him on here too. So I hope that'll happen one time. He's a very nice guy and great.
Yeah, I
Great.
hope so. He's very busy. He's a
Yeah.
teacher, so
Yes,
yeah.
indeed. And that's the other thing too. Like sometimes if people hear me say like I don't watch certain people or whatever, a lot of times when I first started the channel, I was afraid to watch people because I didn't feel like I had my voice down. And I wanted to make sure I wasn't influenced. But I feel now like I'm pretty set. Like I have my opinions and things, and I feel like I have my way of doing videos. And I was afraid that other people might look like my content, but I feel like mine has its own look, which I'm pleased with.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah, it does. And I think it's like The Artist's Way. I don't know if you've read that book, but she recommends creating and not consuming so much when you're really wanting to create something good. So I look at it that way. If I'm really intense on a project, I probably shouldn't be binge watching everybody's reviews, because that's going to drain my own specific creative process. Does that make sense?
it makes so much sense, and that's really close to what I was saying too. But I just want to
Yeah.
kind of say it to everyone because I want to emphasize that it's not like I'm a snob or something where I'm saying, "Oh, I don't watch."
Right.
It's a big combination of the fact that I have a career where I'm a banker and I work like 50 hours a week. I'm also a dad, and I have a 6-year-old who prioritize my time. Somehow I do the a YouTube show and then a video release each week, and all the editing and writing and everything else that goes along with that. And then I also write articles for another website. So there's a lot. So for me to choose,
Yeah.
I have to be very choosy in what I watch. my leisure time. And I tend to watch outside of this space because I feel
Right.
like it's different inspiration.
I can totally understand that.
Yeah. So,
You're really busy. I'm retired. I don't know how people have time to work. Now that we're retired like we are, my father used to say that all the time, and I understand now what he meant. Like, how did I ever have time to go to work? There's so much to do.
I think if you're
So,
enterprising, there's always stuff to do, right? So,
right.
so Mist N says, yes, focusing on your own creativity is so important. Yeah, it's so true. And even outside of YouTube and outside of fountain pens, I used to paint, and there's like echoes of my painting around. Like occasionally we do family art day, and you get a real small window to paint something because my daughter's attention span is the extent. So 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is. So I bang out a quick watercolor, and it reminds me, like, oh, I used to paint. Like, that's something I need to revisit at some point. It's time, it's that challenge.
That's when I was doing my book tour yesterday. I thought about how challenging it is for me to find time enough to read, but I sure am enjoying the secret history.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Oh my gosh.
How far along are you?
Well, it's just at the point where secrets are being revealed,
Ooh,
and I think something's going to happen soon. But it's just so incredible that I missed that book because it was set in Vermont and everything and written so long ago. So I'm really glad you mentioned it so
I'm so
much,
glad
on your
too.
channel.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm glad you responded to it, and it's similar for me. I was embarrassed as well because I knew Downatard from the Goldfinch, which I tried to read and didn't get through, which is embarrassing, I guess. But I'm not a big fiction reader in general. As you can see, I read a lot of nonfiction. But
Same here.
right, exactly. But that book came out 20 years ago, so it was shortly after I was out of college, and it very much describes what college was like when I was there. I mean, it has that feeling. Not that we were doing those things, but I mean
Right.
the lived-in feeling of what college was, and sort of just the dynamics of it feel very real,
Exactly.
and the people
See,
feel. I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. I want you to interrupt. It makes it more
I'm
fun.
just excited because, okay, so I grew up in Vermont and I was in a hurry to get out. But
Sure.
the main character was growing up in California and he couldn't wait to get away from there. So I'm really
Mhm.
relating to that angst or that feeling that you get. And then of course I ended up in Oklahoma
Wow.
so to go
Wow.
to college.
Oh, no
And then
kid.
I spent the rest of my life trying to get back to Vermont.
Wow. And you're pretty much as far from Vermont as you could be right now.
Almost. Yeah, way
Yeah.
down South Texas. Yeah.
We have a
It's a
lot of.
great place to retire,
Oh,
but
that's good. A lot of
yeah.
secret history fans in the comments. Jin Talus and Kaylee, who's going to get to it, I guess, next, which is very good. So that's always fun. My comments look big today. I think it must have updated. That's okay. So
Oh, I
good
hope
stuff.
I'll be able to see them. I'm usually enjoying that part too of your broadcast when you're live,
So you can't
reading
see
and
the
typing
comments
and
on your screen. You can't see them.
no.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I don't
Oh,
know if
that's
there's a.
okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I didn't know if there's a
You
way to show you. But
when you watch a replay, usually it'll be and the live chat will be there somewhere.
oh, okay. So on the replay, you get to see the live chat. That's good
I
because
think so. Yeah.
I tend to watch YouTube on my television, and I think that's
Um,
another thing that goes into my creative process with YouTube is that it's not on a phone when I'm reviewing it. It's on um, big. I don't even know how big my television is. Not that it's that big. I just don't know what size it is. Remember, but but it's bigger than a phone. so So yeah, after I upload, my wife and we watch it together, and we don't blink for like
Oh.
12 minutes or whatever it is, because occasionally there's one of those subliminal frames in there. Have you? I don't know if you've ever done that. Where you
I'm
you make a cut and it just sort of leaves a very short image. So it'll cut from one scene to another, but there's a intermittent image that just flashes up for like a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't edit, so yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see that, but I may see it in a somebody's produced video.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's very off-putting. So I always look for stuff like that. But
Huh.
it's fun. I mean, I like this. I certainly love the almost academic exchange you get to have with folks like you and with people in the comments, and with the letter exchange with the cognoscenti and Illuminati folks. It's so fun and so fulfilling and so interesting.
It is. I love how you've created your community. I felt so at home, but it
Oh,
was
I'm
so
glad.
funny because the first live I went into just to be watching, people were saying, "Oh, Chris is here," and I thought, how do people know me here? But it was really fun. It was amazing. It just surprised me. That's all.
Oh, it's so great. I mean, I'm glad you're welcome here. I want everyone to feel welcome here. I mean, that's the really strong thing for me, because like a lot of my life, I felt like I was on the island of misfit toys. That I had
Oh.
like weird interests. Nobody really liked it. I was never really a sports guy. I was like into Shakespeare and old movies, fountain pens and typewriters, and dressing like in the 1950s or whatever, like whatever trend that I was making up on my own, even sometimes. And it just like, I always thought that if there was ever sort of my thing, that just anyone would be welcome here. So it's good stuff. Happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So we get
Yeah,
some
I felt
questions.
very welcome.
Oh, good. Well, let's see what John Manuel, a member of the channel, asks. Chris, what is your favorite brand fountain pen?
Favorite brand. Well, if you go by how many I purchase, it would be Twsbi.
Oh,
Definitely.
very nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
Is
I
it
have
sincerely?
probably more Twsbi Ecos than anything else.
Sincerely, Eco, good choice. Because Eco is one of my favorite pens. I
It,
I it's almost the only pen you need. Like if you were
that's
really on a
true.
budget, it does everything any other pen does. You
And
know,
I love demonstrators. So I've
right?
got quite a few Gen Hows that I've put, nibs on, upgraded the nibs and all of that, but I love a demonstrator. So they got me from the very beginning.
Sure. Yeah, I really love them too, and their stub is great. That 1.1 is magnificent.
It's a very juicy nib, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a stub especially. Well, it exceeds Lamy in the amount of ink it puts down.
Yeah, that's true. Although I have to say, the Lamy, they call it calligraphy nib. It's their 1.1. I feel like, and feel free to disagree, it feels a little narrower than Twsbi, and it feels almost like excuse me, sharp-sided. Almost like it cuts more of a definitive line. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely, and it does. That I agree totally. Yeah, and so I need just the right ink for it. Otherwise, I feel it's dry. It feels dry to me. You
I
know,
have Oxblood.
the Lamy one.
Yep,
Yeah.
the Lamy. I use Oxblood right now. That seems like a nice matchup. It's in a mango Lamy Safari, and then my other one is the Cursive nib they just put out. So those are my
Oh
two
yeah.
Lamy nibs. They're the only. I must have a regular nib somewhere for them because I swapped them out, but I don't know where it is.
Oh, you need to get a little, plastic divider tray thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's a
So
brilliant.
have you tried the 1.5 Lamy nib? That they're
I
fantastic.
have it. It feels a little wide to me, but maybe
It
I should.
is.
I should just
My
go in.
handwriting is real big, so
Hmm.
I get along with it really good. So
I would call mine maybe medium sized. Let me see. There's some questions here
cool.
by Jin Talis. I watched your ink swatch journal video last night. It was inspiring. Jotted down the names of so many beautiful inks. Not really a question, a nice comment, but very good. Let me see. I saw a really good comment. Ah, here it is. Great Lakes Cruiser asks, Chris, can you talk a little about the ink swatch website you helped create?
Sure. Um, okay, so I've been making these tiles
Love those.
since the very beginning, because I wanted to see how much water resistance each ink had, and I wanted well, the colorings are okay, but I wanted a little card on watercolor. That's how I like to see them.
Mhm.
And so one day I was just, going along. So I have some more. So when it doesn't have water resistance, it has kind of a blob.
Ooh.
That's very typical. I'm just going along in my life, and I heard I got an email from a young man named Matt, and he wanted to make a website out of the tiles. And I said, "Oh, sure. I mean, I don't own the idea at all. I just love it." And he said, "Oh, but I want to do this project with you. I want us to do it together." So that's what we did. He's the one that has all the technical knowledge. He built the website. And I had hundreds and hundreds of the tiles that I'd already done. And then, he had the idea to link. So when you click on the ink, he would link other reviewers, all the reviews and
Uh,
anyone who wants to do that. So it's a really good resource, I think. And I use it myself all the time to kind of see, am I in the ballpark? What could I get that's similar to that ink? Or, it's been really fun. I
oh,
I
that's
get a little embarrassed. I feel like he did all the work,
well. I mean,
and so
you
just
had to do something. You created the swatches, and I suppose you had to take pretty nice, clear photos of them that were color corrected. To
we've done that several different ways. At this time, it's really best if we send them to him, and then he can actually see the card and do the color correction. So,
uh,
there's been a lot of learning process going on, but it's just wonderful. And we're getting a lot closer, I think, than many of the other sites that I have seen where you're wondering, oh, I thought that was red and it's really pink, when you order a sample. So
oh, that
I,
makes
I
sense.
just,
It's
yeah, I'm
brilliant.
glad they asked about that because I love it. And
What's
I mean, Matt just works so hard.
sure? How can they find it, Chris? Like, what's the
It's
name?
inkswatch.com, literally. Yeah, just inkswatch.com.
Oh, okay, brilliant. Do you have a link on your YouTube or your Instagram?
Yes, right at the top of the of my banner, I guess they call it.
Sure.
There's one that's a clickable link there, and we can, I can even make a comment on this video later and put. I guess that's allowed
I
to
can't see
make a
why I
link
wouldn't
to
be.
it.
Sure, make a comment. I
Yeah.
think I can pin it, and it'll go to the top. So
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I know how to do that. So that would be brilliant. I mean, that's a wonderful idea. I mean, inks are funny. They even photographing them on video, you have to be very careful. They don't look too yellow, too warm. You have to fix that. Or in post, you can change the temperature on the um, image to write the color.
That's a real challenge. That's one of the reasons why I don't do as much ink reviewing anymore. Although I always said you need to get a sample, and we always did. I always make a comparison panel because then they can see where it really falls, even if they're a little bit brightened by the camera. But it's a challenge. Anybody will tell you. I don't think there is perfection in when you get the lights, the cameras, and the
Yeah,
various screens we're all using. It's really
you're
hard.
right. You're right. There's no absolute because even if you do everything right, there's still the end user and whether or not their screen is calibrated. That's very true. But that's why I think poetry can really rise to that occasion, or at least I'd like to think so. So Puppet Access asks, "What paper should I use to swatch?" And then I think he or she's being funny by saying, "And why is it Tomoe River?" But what paper do you use to swatch?
Well, I have an ink journal, which is Tomoe River, and I do all kinds of writing and painting and blopping and splatting on there. But I swatch everything on watercolor paper.
Nice.
It's 140 pound, 300 GSM, or sometimes I get that mixed up. But, just because I like to see how it reacts with the water. And I use a water brush a lot in my journals to activate fountain pen ink. So I want to know that, so that's what I use, what it
It
looks
does a
like.
really nice job, doesn't it? I've been doing that lately too. I used to
Hmm.
use cotton, the Q-tip, but sometimes we run out of them because my daughter seems to use them for various. Or I should say, my wife uses them, in connection to my daughter, maybe toes or whatever it is. But I've been using brushes lately for mine. Mine's a little different though. Like my whole approach is a little different, I think, than yours because it's for me. It's almost like a weird OCD thing where I'm like, how does this pen interact? Like, how are they communicating with each other, and what is it saying? And wow, this Faust is really gold. Sorry, but then that's how this book's worked for me. And I also have far fewer inks than you do. I mean, I don't know how many are in here. I'd have to count, but this is all I have. If I have it, it's in here. Except there's a few I haven't got to yet, like Diamine's Bloody Brexit, which I just bought because
Oh,
I love the name. With an English wife, how could I not buy
yeah,
it? So, and it's supposed to ship,
absolutely.
but I have no idea. So we'll see how that one is. But I do love watercolor paper. I think it's a really good choice. It's very robust.
It is. That's why when I saw your video, I immediately knew, why didn't I think of that? And I got busy. I ordered the book while I was still watching your video
Oh wow, no kidding. I'm so see. I
because it
love
was
hearing that.
perfect, just perfect. I want it where, I can lose these. I actually do. I lose track of them, have to make another one. So
Uh,
in the book, I'm not going to lose them.
well, that kind of was my thinking, and also because I used to watercolor in little books like this. And so when I thought, oh, I want a catalog for all the inks I have, and initially I thought I wanted to be able to see what they look like on paper and I wanted to see all that. It was more about cataloging them at first, but how I actually use it, more like how they speak, how they complement the pen, you know?
Right.
Because that weird thing too, right? Where sometimes two different inks look different coming out of two different pens for whatever reason.
Oh my gosh.
Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
just just a slight difference, like a medium and a broad, same ink,
Hey,
or a medium and a stub. I mean, it's like, is this the same ink? I've often thought, oh, I made a mistake. It can't be the same ink, but
exactly.
yeah,
Especially with the
Diamine
key
Florida
names.
blue
Ooh.
brightens up in a stub.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Here is a question from Melissa Sue. Hello, Melissa. Do you have a
Hi,
favorite pen
Melissa.
or nib to make your penmanship look good? It's so nice when a pen does that. Now, Melissa Sue, I am certain, is asking this question to you because my penmanship does not look good. So I'm sure that question's to you.
Well, I think what the experts would say is that the bigger your handwriting is, the wider nib you're going to want, and it'll really show it off. And if your handwriting is little tiny, it's going to really be confusing. You might not be able to tell your O's from your E's if
Yep.
you're using a broad nib in that case. But I have big handwriting, so I like a broad nib or a stub nib. I like a medium too. And it also depends, like if you're working in a Hobonichi with a tiny little grid, you're going to need something with probably a fine or a medium. So I think you have to experiment a little. If you get a pen that you can swap the nib with, that'd be wonderful. You could try out several.
Do you find that your handwriting changes based on your nibs?
It has to do with the stub with me because I have
Mhm.
to kind of turn that stub a certain way, and yes, yeah, it does. It
I
really does, and I find like, oh, I don't think this 9 millimeter line is going to work with a medium nib. It's much better for me with a broad nib.
oh,
So, yeah.
because here's an ironic statement, and I'm going to say that this is true, and that's that the nibs I don't like, my handwriting looks better. So when
Oh,
I don't like extra fines, I generally don't like fines, although Twsbi fines are like mediums anywhere else. Um, but mostly I don't like fines or extra fines. But my handwriting, when I write like that, is probably the best it's ever looked. Which
Oh, wow.
I
That would be a conundrum for me because
it's a
I
conundrum.
don't like teeny tiny writing.
I know. Well, I do write smaller than you, and I've seen your writing now, and I can compare it to mine. I have your lovely letter. It's right behind me, in fact. Um, Great envelope, too, by the way.
Oh, I had a bunch of scrapbook paper and I have a friend who's been using calendars to cut out and
Ooh.
make envelopes. So I thought, well, this is all I have. I'm going to use
Ooh.
it.
Oh wow. Well, I don't think I have it handy to show you, but I bought the template for with the stencil so that you can put it on any paper to turn it into an envelope.
Oh,
It's sold at Jet Pens, and it's like this big sheet, and I haven't used it yet because I want to. It's a project I want to do with my daughter. But you put it on, decent grade paper so it holds up, and then you cut out, I guess, along it, and you end up with an envelope, and you can glue it together and use it. So super
huh.
excited! Yeah, it's so
What
fun.
I do, I always tear apart envelopes I really like real carefully and then make a template, but I haven't really had time in recent years to do that a lot because I have a lot of pen pals. So,
Oh yes, yes, yeah. Well, I'm sure you do, and we're exchanging letters, so I guess I'm among them. So that's super fun.
it's good. It's just that you find like, oh, I better take a day to cut envelopes then if I'm going to do that because
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I like stationery sets. I did buy some Clairefontaine envelopes to match the paper, and I have some other ones. I used to like when it was easier to buy like crane sets. You remember those when they used to be everywhere? They're really tough to find now, and it would just be Crane is a Massachusetts-based stationery. They're famous because they make the money for the United States for the Treasury. So that
Oh,
paper is Crane, and but they make beautiful paper, and they'll do stuff where they'll have like a gold stripe or blue, and maybe a little design or something, and same theme on the envelope. And they used to sell them like $20 for like 20 of them or something. But they're not that easy to find anymore. It's a shame. Or
yeah.
maybe,
Even the
yeah.
Hallmark sets, there aren't very many, and I'm afraid. I think I tried a few where my pens just bled right through them. So we need the good quality paper.
Oh yes, yeah. You need paper that's going to hold up. I mean, we've all suffered through a lot of bad paper. I had someone today asking me. I guess they were using really bad paper, and they're like, "Well, what can I do?" And I'm like, "Extra fine, non-feathering ink, and then maybe you'll be okay."
All you got to do is go and get some CVS caliber filler paper.
Right.
That stuff is bulletproof. I mean, it's just
That's I saw.
amazing.
That's so ironic, isn't it? That something so accessible, is so good.
Yeah. There's a few nuances, but really, it's just amazing. I could take Noodler's King Philip and it won't bleed through that.
Oh wow. Here's a question. It looks like it could be kind of interesting here. Let me see. It says question.
Okay.
How has having an internet community affected the hobby for you, if at all? So, how has having a community? I feel like I, I'd like to start this one if you don't mind. I know I'm the host, but um, it's an interesting question, and maybe you can help me with my answer. But for me personally, I do feel some responsibility, kind of having a community. Um, One of the pangs of guilt I get, and I think you guys feel it because I say it a lot, is that I love sharing pens and I love sharing the experience of pens, but I have regret if I'm motivating people to just want the next pen. I don't want it to be about materialism. I want it to be about experiences. And I kind of don't want to be someone encouraging consumerism for the sake of consumerism. Not that any kind of decision you make and your money, everything else, that's all you. It's just the way that like my message going out in the world and how I'm interacting with it and how I feel about it. And I don't think I'd feel that way if I wasn't so involved in a community.
Right. I hear you absolutely. And I've had times when money was so tight that I just couldn't bring myself to do reviewing. So I would talk about what was real for me, which was how not to spend money in the hobby.
Sure.
And I did series on organizing your inks and things about nibs, how much of an experience you can get just by, switching nibs and things like that. Because I myself was finding that I didn't want to be tempted by purchasing, and I didn't want to be doing that myself. But it's a fine
Right.
line.
It's a
People
fun
want to hear
thing.
about the new pens
They
and the
do.
colors and the yeah.
We get a lot for free. That's the other thing. It's almost unfair,
Absolutely.
right? If you don't have a channel and you're comparing yourself to people with channels, a lot of what we get is given to us. For me, luckily, a lot of it's given for me to promote over a TikTok. So then it's not sponsored over on YouTube because I do my TikTok thing and I can do whatever I want, and then you guys get the benefit of that, which is brilliant. It works out
That's
perfect.
a good deal.
It's a very good deal. I mean, even Brendan from Atlas Stationers, who I love dearly. Like I've formed real close friendship with him. It's he gets it to me for TikTok, and then I can share them with you guys. All his care packages he sends.
Oh yeah.
But I think in part of that too is if you do buy a pen, you're very selective, and you buy it from a good source, like a family business, like Atlas Stationers or even Goulet or Pen Chalet, rather than Amazon or I don't I don't want to I don't even know who the sellers on Alibaba are, but I feel like it's just corporate. I don't know, whatever.
Right. Oh, it's so nice whenever you can order from one of the pen stores. We want them to be there.
Sure,
So I always think of that. And of course, I order some things from Amazon. I mean, some things are not carried at Van Ness or Goulet or some of the other places. But it is, I think about it often, especially recently, like, oh, I want them to be there. I want to support them because I really want that
sure.
store to stay open. Yeah.
Well, something similar to
Mhm.
I've been reviewing a lot of Visconti pens lately, and they have they're famous for having really bad QC issues, which I guess they've improved dramatically from what I hear. Now, my own personal experience is just the pens I have. So I have two Viscontis. That's my experience, and one has a Schmidt nib because that's what they put on it. The other one is in house. It's brilliant, but I bought that from Atlas Stationers, and I called up and I asked Brendan, can you please just pop it out of the box and make sure it's okay? And he said, well, don't
That's
worry about it.
awesome.
It's not. You can send it back. And I'm like, no, just please. So it's a shop like that, you can do that kind of stuff. And I just think that, and I think Goulet does it. I think a lot of the family places do that. And it's just so much better.
Yeah, they'll stand behind everything that they sell, and that's really, really nice. I
Right? Exactly. Exactly.
don't have a Visconti, but I had one like a Grail pen in the Visconti family.
What
It
is
was
your,
a
yeah.
blue, sparkly Visconti. Wait, yeah, Visconti Opera Master.
Ooh,
It was a sparkly blue Goulet exclusive. I can't think of the name right now. I knew that was going to happen.
it's okay.
um,
I'm
but
sure.
and I think it would probably be way too heavy for me, but the pen just never left my mind. In fact, it went
Wow.
on sale and it was still like $500, so it was out of my out of my reach. But oh my goodness, yeah, I actually thought about selling things to get that, but
Oh, wow. Where do you cap your pen price?
I don't like to spend more than $60 on a pen. But it's a funny thing that I have because I don't quite understand it, but I just use my pens that are the least expensive more. And, I'm working on that though, because I don't want that to be a thing where I'm not using all the nice things. So, but it's sort of like a game. Like, I mean, when they come along with the Jinhao 80 and the Jinhao 82, I get really super excited about a pen like that. I feel super comfortable taking it everywhere with me. And I guess I just have this like, it's a mental block about expensive pens. So,
I can appreciate that. I can. I mean, there are some with me I must have the Mont Blanc Egyptomania, I had to have it. I just
It's
love
beautiful. Yeah.
Egypt, and it's a weird pen, and that's what's so cool about it. It's amazing to me that they would make that the way they did right now, in 2020. Well, when did it come out? 2021? Whenever it was. Right? It was I just had to have it. I'm glad. I mean, I say I'm not going to spend any more than $1,000 for a pen, and I think I'm going to not do that again if I can help it. That's that's my plan at this point. I do say that you don't need to spend any more than $288 for a pen. Yeah, that's my kind of slogan, because that's how much the Pilot Custom 823 costs. And and that thing is so good. It's like you could buy something else, but you really don't have to.
Right. It's so funny because I tell people you don't need to spend more than about $25, but that's when I'm working with people that really are on a tight budget, because I would put more emphasis on the nib, and I'd replace the nib in a pen. Like I got my little Moon Man,
Ooh, beautiful.
Moon Man Mini. I
Nice.
just put I just pulled out a nib from an Opus 88 that I wasn't using, and it's a stub nib, a 1.4, and I put it on here, and it just changed the whole experience because they come with a pretty smooth fine nib, and
Uh,
I don't have
uh,
any complaints about that nib, but just upgrade your pen right away with a different nib. So
well, that's a
it's
very good point. It really is. And I mean, even the Twsbi, the difference between a Twsbi and a Pilot Custom 823 is marginal. It's but if you're into the hobby and you're still working, you're not on a fixed income, then you might.
right.
I mean, there's worse ways to blow money than on pens. People
Oh,
do crazy
absolutely.
things. So, but
Absolutely.
I think we all have to draw our line somewhere. With a lot of this, um, I just really I love the experience of a new pen, though, as much as I am trying to curb the materialism, because that discovery is amazing.
It is. It really is. Those Genhao 82s are just amazing. And I had to have a
Yeah,
yellow one after I saw yours.
isn't
A
it?
friend
Did
sent
it
me a
come?
black one. What?
Did the yellow one arrive?
Yes.
What do you think? What
And
do you
of
think
course
of it in person?
I like it a lot. Oh my
The
gosh,
color
I
is
got
really
it right here.
beautiful, isn't it? It's like banana. It's like if you feel like if you licked it, it would taste like banana. I mean, I'm a little synesthetic. Oh, look at that! It's so beautiful. I love that pen.
What did
Uh,
I put? I put an Opus 88 medium nib unit that really didn't have any hope. I wasn't going to
wow.
write with it, but and not because I didn't like it, but because it's very fine nib. But this in this pen, it almost makes me feel like I have a sort of a sailor experience with the little pen size and
Uh,
everything. I love it.
yeah, that's a very good pen. It hits well above its weight. Although my one is a little reticent, where the other one is completely loquacious, if I can extend that metaphor. Um, so the false starts are a little annoying with Jinhao and me. I think I'm a very light writer, and I think that their nibs are designed for heavier writers. That's a suspicion. I'm not sure, but so many people
Yeah.
respond positively to them, and I just have a bit of an issue.
Well,
But
I don't use Genhao nibs very often, and I get a lot of a lot of resistance from some of my followers or subscribers about that. But I just literally just take the nib off right away, and I play musical nibs. I've got a tray of nibs, so I
wow,
just like this one. This is the black one that my pen friend sent me, and I put a broad goulet nib on it. Of course, it's a number 5, so. Oh man, was I excited when I found out it's just a standard number 5. And it's a beautiful writing experience. So I love it.
try that. So my avocado green one didn't inspire you the same way as the yellow one, huh?
No, because I have to look at my avocado green countertops.
That's what I love about that pen, though. It reminds me of those interiors of my youth, and you still see
Right.
nice older houses. So it's Eric Linneman makes a really nice point. I'd like to emphasize here. He says, "I think one thing to avoid is being in love with the chase of the next thing, but to really enjoy what you have." And I think that's true. I do, and I think that's part of what I've been doing lately. I got that Visconti Homo sapiens that's made out of lava for Christmas, and I've been luxuriating in it. And of
That's a
course,
beautiful pen.
really, it's a lot of pen. Thank you, and I'm really happy to have it. And it was a pen I didn't think I would own. There are a couple pens I don't think I'll own. Do you have any pens? And I guess maybe we'll keep it kind of where you buy pens. So in that budget that you usually have, are there certain pens that you just wouldn't own?
Hmm. I am so wide open because so many interesting things have happened to me where, like, I never thought I would own a Mont Blanc. I thought, no, that isn't possible. But
Sure.
then an older gentleman that watched my channel, his name was Wayne, and he gave me permission to use his name long time ago. He sent me a little Mont Blanc pen, and I was just
No.
like, it wasn't something that was ever going to be for me, but I love that pen. So I've had experiences that are so far out of my budget, and it's taught me not to limit myself, I guess.
Sure. I think that's
You
great.
never really know what's going to happen.
And you can get some great vintage ones that people don't hold in the high esteem that are fantastic writers. I have a whole bunch. I kind of forget what they are. I have written down, but there's like 252 is one. It's 122. I forget the numbers. I have to look them up. Anytime I do a video on my whole collection, I have to reacquaint myself with them. But I've picked some up on Peyton Street pens and at pen shows. And I think some of them were like $80, and they have gold nibs that are flexible, medium nibs, and they're brilliant.
Wow.
And they're from like the early 60s, mid 50s, and they're just not the 149, so they don't have the same cachet and the same price, but they're brilliant. They're fantastic, elegant pens.
Right. Mine has a nice little springy medium nib on it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, nice. Very good.
He sent everything, the box, the paperwork, every single, like, it's like it has its pedigree in the box. It's just amazing.
Oh, that's so nice. What a nice gift. Really nice. It's overwhelming the response you get from folks. So it's good stuff. How you holding up? We're hitting the hour mark. Do you want to go over, or how's your energy?
I'm great. It's all up to you because I don't even know we were an hour. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, can you believe that? It goes incredibly quickly.
It does, doesn't it? Is there questions or are there questions? I mean,
There's been fewer questions than I thought there'd be, but folks, if you want to hit us with questions, maybe we can kind of make it the time for questions. And also, let me mention everyone. I'm here with Chris Saenz. If by some way you don't know who she is, please follow her on YouTube and Instagram. Both equally interesting and always a pleasure. So it's always it's good. It's fun. So
I came
yeah,
I came in here to set up and do the call and everything. I hadn't been able to find my cat, and he was sitting on this chair. This is
oh
like
wow.
a bar chair, so it's up high. Somehow he got up here, and it was like he was ready for the video,
Oh, that's
but
so.
he can't do that because he knocks everything over. Poor
Uh,
baby.
well, my cat is nowhere to be found. But Miss Marilyn Darling's asking, how is Manuel?
Hi, Marilyn. He's doing well. He's sometimes in the morning still. My husband's been having a little bit of vertigo, but he's
Yeah,
getting better
yeah.
slowly.
Wow. Oh, here's an interesting question from Puppet Access. What's your favorite teeny tiny ink manufacturer?
Teeny tiny. That would probably be Straight's Pen Honest Ink. They made that beautiful bougainvillea purple.
Oh,
And
wow.
I feel like they're kind of small. It's a company from Singapore, I think.
Oh,
Um, you can get their inks from Lemur Ink, I believe. I'm not sure where else you can get them from here in the US,
I
but
don't know them. So, although I've seen that color on your channel because
it's beautiful.
I know an address in Naples, Florida that is that same address, so it stuck in my head. Um, but that is really beautiful. That's cool. For me, I think it's Krishna inks, but I don't know if they're teeny tiny. They're just not well represented here. They could be gigantic. I buy them directly from India. And when I first bought them, I didn't even know how much they were. It was in the Indian currency, which I believe is rupees, but it was like 45,000. And I was like, I have no idea how much money that was. Thankfully, it was $11.
That would be scary.
It was a little scary, but
Yeah.
now it tells you. Now they do the currency translation for you. So that was a great question.
Huh.
Here's one from Michael Steven. How do you stay motivated to try new inks once you have your favorites? Interesting.
Well, that just comes natural to me because it just never fails that it astounds me that it can be slightly different, than all the others. I don't know how they do that. I really don't.
Amazing.
But if you get them and you compare them side by side and you see that it's a little different, and I'm not talking about shimmer or sheen or anything crazy. I mean the shade, the tone and everything. It's
Right.
just amazing.
I feel like there has to be some out there that are the same. Or maybe they make ones and they're like, oh no, it's the same. You know what? Let's just throw some like blue shimmer in there, or something. I don't know how it works, but it is amazing with all the different ones that are out there that no two seem to be alike. For me, I can say that there are times when in the past where I didn't. I think what keeps me motivated now is having the channel, having people send me inks, so I'm always trying new ones and then I adopt them. And one of the things that's kind of awful about being me is that I don't know how many pens I have at the moment, but let's just say I have 100. If I do have 100, 80 of them are inked. That
Oh,
that's the problem. And it's because I'll when they run out, I end up going, okay, well that one's empty. Here's a new ink. I have to film a video, so I fill it, or a new pen comes in and I fill it with the new ink that's in, and then you film, and then everything is inked. So, but it does keep me really engaged with inks because for a while I only wrote with one. I went almost a year, and I say write with one. That means most of the time because I was primarily writing at work, and I was writing with Mont Blanc Royal Blue, almost,
oh.
which is nice but kind of boring, but nice, kind of boring. And then at home, I wrote a lot with Mont Blanc Bordeaux, which was this great. It made you feel like you were writing with wine, which was really kind of a cool experience for a long time. But I've since branched out. So Gail's Bookish Things has a great question. You mentioned
Hi,
switching.
Gail.
Hi, Gail. You mentioned switching nibs on pens. How do you know what will work? What's your method?
How do you know what will work? Fit, or because I get a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
think.
questions about what's
Yeah,
gonna.
I think like, do how are you learning which nibs go with which pen? So how do you know like the Goulet number 5 fits on the what was it, the Jinhao 82?
Yeah, let me see. I don't remember how I knew that, but as soon as I saw it and pulled it out, I put the nib that's just floating around in the little in my little box
Sure.
right up to it, and yeah, it was a match. So that's one way. Just pull the nib off right away and match it with the right size.
So it's all
But I've
hands
done
on.
some things that were probably not supposed to be done.
Oh, brilliant. So you're the source.
But
You're just hands on. You're like a carpenter that's just matching tools.
well, like my thing is, if it works and it writes and it doesn't leak, then we're good. But
That could be your channel slogan. If it works and it writes and it doesn't leak, we're probably good. That's
Because
brilliant.
someone told me a number 6 nibs are not supposed to go on Noodler's Ahabs, but it did and it worked. So I was thinking, well, that's probably true because I had no idea, but it did work and it worked really good. So
I really love how experimental you are with that. It's really bold and it's great. And I I don't do that. I'm very hesitant. I tend to buy, or I in the past I would buy a new pen with a new nib because I felt like things had to be as they were when I got them. And it's a mental thing with me, but I'm evolving beyond that because it's wasteful. Marie has a nice question. Chris, what size nib do you recommend on a Twsbi? I want to get my first Twsbi. I have an answer for this too, but she wants your answer, so please.
I think we differ on that. I'm pretty sure we
Oh yeah,
do.
that's why I think it's fun.
Well, my favorite nib on the Twsbi is a medium. It just is. I
Ooh,
don't I
okay.
don't always
You
find
surprised me with
the
that. I thought you
yeah.
were going to say stub. I really did.
Oh, and I have two Twsbi Ecos with the stub, but I would rather have a number 6
Mm,
nib when it comes to the stubs, or the little number 5 Goulet one than I don't know why, because they're made by the same. That's silly because the number 5s they're made by the same company, the Yovo, I
that's
guess, makes them all. So that's a mental thing probably.
Well, I don't know about that. That's something that I don't know about that I want to find out. And that is Yovo makes nibs, but they also must private label nibs. So does Twsbi go in and say, I just want your number 5 nib, please, and write Twsbi on it? Or do they say, I want a nib that does this, this, and this, shaped like this? Can you make it for me?
I
That,
don't know. I mean, I
I don't know. I don't
just
know either.
off the cuff, I think it's fairly standard, but I'm not sure. I wouldn't want to be quoted on that.
I'm not sure either. And I know that very small, I mean, maybe you could take a loop and check because you have all of them.
Mhm.
But I really don't know. And I wonder because, like I have a Cartier pen and I looked at it and it's suspiciously like a Mont Blanc, but it's Cartier.
Huh,
But like you
wow.
hold it up with the way the fins look, with the way the nib looks, it's definitely made by them. And then somebody discreetly said, and this is them saying it. It doesn't make it true, but they say I can confirm they are made by them.
Huh.
But private label, right? Like one company making it for somebody else in a way different than they would for themselves, but with that kind of
Hmm.
similar design. So I don't know, but it's kind of stuff that drives me crazy. Yeah. So
See, for a while, I didn't like the Twsbi broad nibs because I wasn't getting consistent ones. I
uh,
don't know why. It didn't make sense. And I actually thought it might be me. But no, I could actually look at them and say, well, that's not very broad for a broad. So, but they're so great that I wrote to them and then just for the postage, they sent me another broad nib. I mean, how can you
wow.
argue with that?
Oh,
That's amazing.
yeah, that really is. It's funny.
I was happy.
I can't disagree with your choice of nib for Twisby either because all mine are either mediums or fines. And I really like their
Oh.
fine, but like you said medium. I'm going with medium too. So why not? Oh, good stuff. Well, this was really lovely. I don't want to keep you on too long because I mean it can get grueling. All these questions,
You gotta
like
work tomorrow, probably. So, yeah,
oh yes, well that's fine. I'm sure we'll do this again. I mean, it's so great to speak to you
absolutely.
directly. I mean, we've corresponded quite a bit. I've seen you in the comments, and it's always lovely to hear from you. And it's been a complete joy for me to have you here tonight.
Well, this has been nothing but fun for me too. I'm
So
thank you
glad.
for asking me,
Thank you.
and thank you me for being brave enough
Right,
for
you
the
were absolutely
technology.
brilliant. You carried the night. So I'm sure
Wow.
anyone watching this would say that. So it was your night, and I appreciate you being here. And I'm looking forward to doing this again soon. And I'm sure we'll chat very soon.
We will. All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Talk soon. Bye bye.
Bye.
Well, everyone, how great was that? I mean, really, Chris is just amazing. Just an incredible personality, so much knowledge, so much energy. Just an absolute joy to have her here. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. It's just absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Also, guys, if you watched this far, you've been with me for an hour and 10 minutes, then please consider subscribing to the channel. I'd love to have you on this journey with me. We're going to have more interesting guests on the live show soon. We got a great video coming out this week on Friday. Moments of Zen with the Twin Tank Touchdown pen by Peniter, which I probably call Penator a few times. Peniter. Let's call the whole thing off. So I'm sure I mispronounced it a million times. But that is Friday's show. So I think you'll enjoy that as well. And the live show will be back next week. And I have some interesting stories for you about filming with Stridewise over the weekend. I think you'll be interested in that. I also have some announcements as to future guests, some that I think will astound you because I hardly can believe it myself. So I think you guys will enjoy that as well. A lot of great, exciting stuff coming up. It looks like you guys had a really nice time tonight. I'm really glad. It was lovely to have Chris here. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed that. I never have had an hour go by that quickly on the live show. So absolutely brilliant. Well, okay, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the show as always. I want you guys to all take care of yourselves. And I promise we will see each other again further up the road. So take care now.